So we'll come and take your 2 bricks and have one that's going to sit between your shoulder blades. So it should be comfortable if you've got it in the right place, not too low, not too high. And then the other one will just come underneath your head. So if you sit with your knees bent, feet firmly planted on the floor, and just peel yourself over the brick that's going to go between your shoulder blades, then you've got a chance of getting it in the right place, but it might take a couple of attempts. So I've got mine on my middle setting, but you can have it flatter if you want to. And then just make sure that the brick underneath the head is allowing your neck to be long. And there's sort of a perfect spot where you feel as if you can start to let the rib cage release into the brick. The ones I have in the studio here are really hard, so hopefully you've got a slightly softer one. So keeping the knees bent just to make a little bit more space in the lumbar spine. Allow the arms to come out to the sides, palms up if you can, so that we start to get this opening through the collarbones and the chest. And as you take your attention to your breath, breathing more deeply, getting a more smooth and steady rhythm to the breath. Can you take your attention to the shoulder blades and invite them to start to melt either side of that brick? If this is too uncomfortable, you can use a rolled up towel or a folded over pillow. And as you take your breath even deeper, perhaps you can feel an opening, a little bit more space for the diaphragm with your inhale, and allowing the back to ease into the bricks with your exhale. Yeah. So when you get the bricks in the right place, it has got a slightly yummy, yucky feel, but it should be a little tiny bit more yummy than it is yucky. Steady the breath. There we are. And take all of your focus in that process of breathing. So this chest opening and upper back shoulder blade releasing pose really makes you focus on that process of breathing. You can even feel the back of the rib cage expanding with the inhale and then releasing with the exhale. There's a bit more space for the breath at the front of the body. So start to really notice your breath as we open up the front of the body in preparation for today's practice. 2 more breaths, slow and steady, allowing the body to just release onto the bricks. And then bring the arms closer to the body, and you could just have the thumbs behind the hips, elbows on the floor, to help to lift yourself up and over to the side so that you take out one of your bricks, have the other brick in your hand as you come and take your spine back to the floor. And then we're going to take this brick and just slide it under the sacrum, but flat this time. So have the brick flat so that the flat bone of the sacrum meets the flat brick. And again, it should be comfortable when you get it in the right place. So then just try hugging the knees in and hovering the knees just above the hips, maybe above the belly button. And that will tell you whether or not you've got the brick in the right place. So it'll be a tiny bit uncomfortable if it's not quite right. So I've just had to move mine up a little bit. So then I'm going to take hold of the right knee and bring the left foot to the floor. And then slowly over a couple of breaths, start to lengthen the left leg along the floor and draw the toes back. So my intention, if you like, is to descend the left thigh towards the floor, the inner left thigh towards the floor. The left toes pointing to the ceiling or drawing back a little bit. There's a tiny bit of pressure of the left heel into the floor. And then I can focus my attention on drawing this right knee in, maybe towards the right shoulder. So taking hold of the knee to hug it in. And then once you start to hug that knee in, you can feel an opening in the front of that left hip. So feel as if you're lengthening the left leg away from you, pressing gently the heel into the floor. And feel like that's a dynamic process. So rather than just kind of hanging out, letting the leg relax, you're lengthening it out of the pelvis. Feel the femur bone start to lengthen out of the hip joint a little bit. Yeah. Great. And then maybe we can hug the right knee in a little bit more. Circle the right ankle just to bring a little bit of energy into the lower leg and the foot. Great. Have one more breath. And then holding the right knee with the right hand, just reach the right arm back overhead. And then see if you can take the fingertips and the heel on that left side a little bit further away from each other. Lovely. And then bring both knees in and bring your right foot to the floor. So taking both hands, you can hug the left knee in. You could take the hands behind the hamstring if that is helpful to begin with, and then begin to lengthen the right leg along the mat. And again, the intention is to feel as if you're pressing the inner right thigh towards the floor. So you're not allowing the leg to roll out to the side. You're not just letting it rest there. There is muscular energy in that right leg. You're hugging the muscles to the bone. As you start to work on bringing that left knee, maybe towards the outside of the rib cage or the shoulder, and start to feel that kind of dynamic stretch. So it's not a passive movement here. You're lengthening the right femur bone out from the joint. The right leg gets longer. The heel's touching the floor. And just take a few breaths here. Try and keep the shoulder girdle relaxed. And then circle the left ankle. One way, then maybe the other way. And then holding on to the left knee with the left hand, just reach the right arm back. The hand can be on the floor. And then see if you can take the hand and the foot further away from each other. Get even more opening in the front of that right hip. Lovely. Well done. And then bring the right knee to join the left. Circle both ankles. Bring the feet to the floor. Push into the feet. Lift the pelvis. Slide that brick out. And let the spine come back down to the floor. Take your feet as wide as your sticky mat and just let the knees float over to the left. And see if you can press your right knee towards the floor, as long as that doesn't pull on the inner knee, which sometimes it does. And just open up through the right side of the waist and hip, and then start to come back through the center and take the knees to the other side. And there's a little gentle push, so that left hip can lift away from the floor as you press the left knee towards the floor. I'm not expecting it to touch, but it might. If you have different mechanics from mine, have another breath. And then roll to the back, bring the knees in, and just have a circle of the knees, massaging the low back. Nice. And then let's roll to the side and come up onto the knees. If you're on a hard floor like me, you might need to grab a little padding for the knees. Taking the hands underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. Spread the hands wide. And as you inhale, coming into cow pose, allow the shoulder blades to draw away from the ears. So see, can you really feel your shoulder blades? The sit bones broaden and lift. And then as you pull the belly away from the floor, take it into cat pose, gaze back towards the thighs. Keep it in cat pose. So you're rounding the spine as you press into the hands and take the sit bones to the heels. So then bending the elbows to come back up into cow pose, to then straighten the arms, lift the chest, lift the sit bones. Exhaling, pull the belly up, rounding the spine, start to sit back as you push into your hands and begin to get a little flow between these positions. So the elbows bend, shoulder blades draw into the spine as you take the body back up into cow pose. Exhaling into cat pose, rounding the spine, taking the sit bones back. Bend the elbows to slide forwards, squeezing the shoulder blades together. So here, yeah, lovely. And into cow pose. Exhaling cat pose, sitting back. And just do a couple more. Move with your breath. Lovely, Ali. Yeah, great. Squeezing the shoulder blades in as you come up into cow. Sliding the shoulder blades off the rib cage or to the sides of the rib cage. So start to see if you can feel what's happening to the shoulder blades. As you come forwards into cow, can you squeeze them in towards the spine? And then let them slide away from each other as you come back. Through cat, through child. Lovely. Let's do one more round. Inhaling, exhaling, pulling the belly back. This last one. And then we're just going to do a little bit of wrist mobilization. So I'll show you from the front here. So stay on your hands and knees and just turn the, move back a little bit, you can see. Turn the hands away from each other. So the wrists are facing inwards. Now, depending on your wrist mobility, you might have your hands underneath your shoulders. You might have them a bit closer to each other, which will make it stronger. And then you're just going to rock the body a little bit from side to side. So can you feel that starts to stretch and warm up the wrists? So the closer you have your hands, the stronger that is. So you don't want pain, but you do want to be able to feel it. Yeah, amazing. Fingers away from each other. Good. And then you could just try bringing them a little bit closer. And you're just rocking, maybe taking the body into a little bit of a circle. One way and then the other. And then just try the wrists closer. So be gentle. Good. And then we're going to turn the palms up. So fingertips towards each other, elbows straight. That's it, Ali, yeah. So again, you don't want too much pressure here. So most of my weight is over my knees and my hips. And then again, fingertips quite close to each other here. I'm just going to move the body in a little gentle circle, side to side. And then I'm going to curl the fingers up. So the backs of the hands stay on the floor. The fingertips curl up. And again, I'm just going to try that little side to side movement. Good. Okay. And then we're going to take the hands back, palms down, and turn the fingers towards the body. So again, take it nice and gently. So all the way the other way, Ali. So turning anti-clockwise with your right, clockwise with your right hand, fingertips towards the body, palms on the floor. Yeah. So can you turn the fingertips all the way around, have the wrists facing forwards? There we go. Is that all right? So it's quite strong on your hands. So be gentle. You can have them wider if you need to, and then just rock forwards and backwards. And you'll feel the stretch comes when you just sit backwards a little bit. But again, I want you to be really gentle. You're just nudging into a little stretch here. There shouldn't be any pain. And you can start to press the fingertips into the floor a little bit. Nice. Good. Take it gently. Lovely. And then start to sit back a little bit. Peel the wrists up, the palms up, stretch the fingers. And then come and give them a little shake. Nice. So then coming back onto your mat, if you've moved like me, hands hip width, shoulder width apart, tuck the toes. And we just start to take the hips up into downward facing dog. So ears nestled between the arms. And then allow the shoulder blades to slide away from the ears. So the shoulder blades come towards the hips as the head slides towards the floor. And the knees can stay bent here. just focus on that sensation of your shoulder blades moving. So then we'll do a little bit of a shoulder blade press up, really. So what we're going to do is to push the floor away, allow the shoulder blades to come up to the ears, and then take the shoulder blades towards the hips, let the head release towards the floor. So see if you can slide between those two positions. So you're really learning what it feels like to have the shoulder blades around the ears and then have the shoulder blades down your back. That's it. Lovely. So try to keep the elbows straight. So the only bit that's moving are your shoulder blades, your scapulae on the rib cage. Lovely. Just do one more. And then when you're ready, settle back into downward facing dog. Plenty of space for the neck and the head. Shoulder blades towards the hips. Lift your right leg. Great. Keep the right leg lifted and bring your left knee to the floor. And then start to stack the hips, stack the shoulders. So your left lower leg can just swing out to the side for a little bit of stability. So we're coming into this version of side plank. That's it. Have your right hand on your hip and just touch your right toes to the floor and then lift up again. So toes to the floor, lift the leg up in line with the hip. Lengthen the tailbone so you're pulling the belly back. Great, just do a couple more. And take the right arm up. Just do two more. Lifting and dropping. Lovely. Tone the toes back towards the knee. Lifting the leg in line with the hip. Make the leg really strong. Push through the heels. So keeping it still now. Lifted. Great. Now bend the right knee, reach back for the ankle and bring it into a thigh stretch. So again, we want to lengthen that lengthen the tailbone. Yeah. Push the foot into the hand and then squeeze the shoulder blades together. See if you can open up the chest a little bit more. Let's have one more breath here. And then release the foot. Bring that right hand back to the floor, the right foot to the floor, and press back up into downward facing dog. Nice. Again, just experiment with how your shoulder blades feel. Pushing the floor away, let the shoulder blades lift to the ears and then slide them back down. Keep the arms really strong. Inhale, lift the left leg nice and high, and then start to bring that right knee down. Stacking the hips, left leg in line with the hip as you bring the weight over the right shoulder. Nice. And then just touch your left toes down, keep that leg straight and lift it back up again. So you can have your hand on your hip here. You want to be in a nice straight line from the crown of your head to that left heel, just touching the floor, lifting back up. See if you can feel this squeeze in the lateral glute muscle here. Nice. Just do a few more. You could take the top arm up and just keep that leg moving. Drawing the belly back so the tailbone's lengthening from the sit bones to the heel. Nice, just do two more. Great, lifting that foot up and then bend the knee, reach back for the ankle, take it into a thigh stretch. So as you lengthen the tailbone, push the foot into the hand and then see how it feels to maybe lift the gaze to the ceiling, draw the shoulder blades into the back of the heart. And take a couple of breaths. Lovely. Good. One more breath there. Release the foot. Bring left hand, left foot to the floor, and then press back up into downward facing dog. And you can walk the feet here if that feels good for you. And then start to lengthen the heels, the inner ankles back, downward facing dog. Draw the shoulder blades down away from the ears. And then we're going to inhale forwards into plank. So tucking the tailbone. And then keep the shoulders over the wrists and just drop the knees down. Great. So here, can you do that same movement of shoulder blades moving? So you're allowing the chest to come towards the floor, the elbows stay straight, the shoulder blades slide to the back of the rib cage, and then you push the floor away, the shoulder blades slide off. So you're just Try to keep the elbows really straight here. So it's the movement is the shoulder blades sliding in towards the spine and then out towards the lateral ribs. So the chest opens and then the chest closes. So you try and keep your elbows really straight. So Terry, if you want to do a couple of those with your knees up, then go ahead. But the elbows stay straight. Shoulder blades, that's it. So keep the gaze down to the floor. Just do one more. Well done. And then press back up into downward facing dog. Well done. Let's inhale forwards into plank again. And this time just bend the elbows, bring the belly to the floor. Take the hands off the mat. So nice wide stance with the hands. They're still in line with your chest, and you can try coming up onto the fingertips. So if you're up on the fingertips, the elbows lifting towards the ceiling, can you feel the shoulder blades slide in towards the spine, as if they're squeezing that brick, as we did at the beginning of class? Then slide the shoulder blades away from the back of the skull, and then pushing into the fingertips. Feel as if you're lengthening the chest forwards, come up into that wide hand cobra. So bring your hands more in line with your chest, Ali, then you can get a bit higher. There we go. Good. Feel as if you're dragging your fingertips back, dragging the shoulder blades down. And have another breath here. Lovely. And then exhale. And bring your forehead to the floor. You could have your forehead on a brick if you want to. I don't find that so comfortable, but your mechanics might be different. So your forehead's just on the floor. Bring the big toe joints together and firm the legs, firm the glutes, and then slide the hands forwards in a Y shape. So your body's in a Y shape, your legs close together, the arms wide, and your palms are facing each other, thumbs to the ceiling. So tone the belly by lengthening the tailbone, drawing up pubic bone to navel, and then see how it feels to just lift the arms away from the floor. So it should feel quite strong around the shoulder blades. Try to make sure that the shoulder blades are drawing down towards the hips, but the lower body is firm. Nice. Okay, keep the head down for now and start to bend the elbows, hugging the elbows in towards the sides of the body, but keeping the elbows lifted away from the floor. So then inhale, lengthen the arms forwards. Exhale, bend the elbows, squeeze them in. So you can do that again, or you can try lifting the head. It's a bit stronger on the back, so no pain, please. Lengthening the tailbone, squeezing the legs together. You're squeezing your shoulder blades in, and then you're lengthening the arms out. Good. One more, really good. And then bring the hands either side of the chest. Well done. Tuck the toes. And let's take it back into downward facing dog. Have a little stretch first if that feels good. Slide the shoulder blades away from the ears. Well done. Hands strong, arms strong. Lovely. One more little strength exercise for the shoulders and arms here. So you're in downward facing dog. I want you to feel as if you're hugging the arms towards each other and the shoulder blades are sliding away from the ears. So the head and the neck are nice and released. All you're going to do is to bend the elbows out to the sides. The head descends, your shoulder blades stay away from the back of the skull, and then push back into the floor and straighten the elbows. So we're going to come down and then push back up. You can drop to the knees if that's too much. So you're in downward facing dog, Ali. Lift your, and just bend the elbows there. Good, it doesn't have to be big. Lovely, keeping the shoulder blades really drawn away from the ears. Good, just do two more. Well done. And then let's inhale forwards into plank. Lovely. Hold it in plank. And see, can you squeeze your shoulder blades together and then push them apart? So elbows stay straight. You're just seeing if you can do that little scapular press up. Good, one more. And then lower to the floor. Well done. Bring your elbows underneath your shoulders. And so you want your yeah, the middle of the elbow right under the middle of the shoulder joints. So your elbows are not too wide so that your upper arm is pretty perpendicular to the floor. Turn the palms down and feel as if you're gluing your palms and your forearms onto the floor. So elbows under the shoulders. So a little bit further forward and further in, Ali, and then you're going to be able to lift your chest. So coming into Sphinx pose, feel as if you're gluing your hands, your forearms onto the floor, and then try squeezing the shoulder blades towards each other and sliding them down. So as if you're going to pull your chest through your elbows. Firm in the lower body. So you've got your belly toned away from the floor. And you're squeezing the big toe joints together, hugging the inner thighs together, the sit bones together. Good. And then lift the gaze. As you push down into the arms, feel as if you're going to shine your heart forwards. Lovely. Sphinx pose. Nice. Pushing up and just stay there. Feel as if you're dragging the floor back. Feel the middle of your shoulder blades work. Nice. And then release to the floor and just take the elbows out wide. Rest the head on the hands. Rock the pelvis from side to side and just release some of that tension in the shoulders. Great. So then let's bring your hands either side of the chest again. Hug the elbows in. Tuck the toes. You might be able to push back up into plank. I need to come onto my knees first. And then take it into downward facing dog. Well done. Look to the hands and step forwards. Inhaling to lengthen into Ardha Uttanasana, half forward fold. Exhale and fold. And just soften the knees, take hold of the elbows for a moment here. You could try, it's another thing to try, just see how it feels. Instead of holding on to the elbows, you can interlink your fingers and just cradle the back of the head. Let the elbows drop towards the floor. And take a breath into the back. Knees are nice and soft here. And just see how that feels on the neck. If that feels too strong, go back to just holding on to the elbows. Well done. Have another breath in your forward fold. And then let's sweep the arms up. Coming up, taking the arms up back into that Y shape. Nice. And feel as if you were going to press the backs of your hands into a wall behind you. So feel the shoulder blades. I don't know if you can see, but the shoulder blades not here, but here. So you're drawing down with your lats, you're hugging your lats in. Good. And then pressing the hands back. Take the throat back and the ears back. So this part of your neck is also feeling long. And then start to hug the elbows in. So just like we did in that version of locust, you're squeezing the shoulder blades in. Good. Inhale to lengthen the arms. Feel as if you're pressing them back. Don't stick the chin forwards. Good. And then squeeze in. Let's do one more of those. Inhale. Exhale. Great. Bring the hands behind and interlink your thumbs. As you push your thumbs into each other, feel as if you can squeeze your shoulder blades into the back of the heart and then lengthen the tailbone. So we're lifting up the heart. Lift your right knee. Find your balance and step back into a long lunge. Take a moment to find your balance if you're wobbly like I am this morning. Good. And then start to lift the chest. Good. Lifting the heart. If you would prefer, you can interlink the fingers or the thumbs. Lovely. Squeezing the shoulder blades together. And then you might want to make it a bit stronger by lifting your left heel and lunging a little bit more deeply through that front knee. Well done. Good. Lengthen the tailbone, feel it in the hip flexor. Well done. And then bring the heel down, sweep the arms up. And as you exhale, hugging that left hip back, bring the body parallel to the floor. Reach back from the back heel into the fingertips. Lengthen the tailbone, so pull the belly up away from the thigh and come back up. Inhale. Exhale, bow. Good, one more. Inhale. Coming up, Anjali Asana. And then slowly with control, bend the right knee, bring it down to the floor. Lengthen the tailbone. We get a nice stretch in that right hip flexor and bring the hands onto the back. So again, here, can you squeeze the shoulder blades together as if you were going to touch the elbows together and lift the chest. Use the hands to help lengthen that tailbone. Sweep the arms up last time here, and then bring the hands to the inside of your left foot. Let the hips descend and walk the hands forwards into a diagonal towards the top right corner of your mat. And you can turn the left toes out if that feels more comfortable for your knee. And bow. You might find that you can bring your elbows to the floor or maybe onto a brick. And just breathe, nice and steady. Good. Okay, let's start to come up. So walking the hands back, keep walking the hands back. You're gonna lift the chest, lift the right hand. Your left hand can be on the left thigh. And then circle that right hand back onto your right heel. Start to see if you can align the right hip forwards. So rather than having the belly button pointing out to the right, we're trying to get the belly button pointing forwards and then take the left arm up. Lovely. Really feel that you're drawing up pubic bone to navel and that you're lengthening the tailbone. Can you bring the right shoulder forwards, the right hip forwards for the last breath? And then come up, sweep the hands to the floor and step back into downward facing dog. Well done. Come to the front of your mat. Inhaling as you step forwards, exhaling as you fold, inhaling as you sweep the arms up. And then again, you can either interlink the thumbs, interlink the fingers, whatever feels good for you. Normally thumbs works better for me, but not today. Just trust where your body is. So lifting up the heart, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Lift your left knee. And then step back into long lunge, Anjali-asana. Get length in the tailbone. Good, lifting up the heart. And you could just lift that right heel. Keep the back leg straight and strong, and maybe descend a little bit more. Lovely, let's have another breath here. Release the hands, bring the right heel down, sweep the arms up. Good, take this right hip back as you bow forwards. So you're really squaring the pelvis, squeezing the feet towards each other as you inhale, come up. Good, pressing the hands back. Exhale, bow. Inhale, rise. Good, last time, bow. Inhale, come back up, and as you exhale, drop the left knee down with control. Yeah, lovely. Bring the hands onto the back of the hips. So the hands help to lengthen the tailbone. And then lift up the chest, lift the heart, as if you're going to press the elbows together. Nice, take a breath into all of that space. Release the hands, sweep them up, and as you exhale, hands to the inside of your right foot, drop the hips forwards. Coming into this version of lizard pose, so your elbows could be on a brick, on the floor. On this side, for me, I need to keep my elbows straight. I don't have the space to get lower. So trust your body. It might be different on this side. That's it. That's good, Ali. Yeah. Well, doesn't really, yeah, doesn't matter too much. Probably straight out. Yeah, there. That looks better. And bow wherever you are in this pose. You're just bowing into the hips. Keep a little bit of tone in the belly. And just steady the breath. And then start to walk the hands back. Hands back, hands back. The right hand onto the right thigh, sweeping the left arm up and start to circle it back to find your heel. Now you could use a brick here instead on this left side. Now the challenge is, can we start to take the left shoulder, the left hip to face forwards as we take the right arm up? Nice. Lengthen the tailbone. So we don't want to be compressing in the low back here. We're really trying to lengthen the tailbone even in this back bend. Nice, and steady the breath. And just as you steady the breath, keep working on bringing the left shoulder, left ribs, left hip forwards. Lovely. Let's have 2 more breaths here. And then start to come up, sweeping the hands to the front of your mat. Take your right knee to join your left, knees wide, and sit back into child's pose. So you can keep the arms extending forwards and try coming up onto the fingertips. So the arms, the armpits, lift away from the floor. So there's still an energy around the shoulder blades here. Maybe even squeeze them together, draw them towards the hips. Even as you sit, the sit bones back towards the heels. And then release the arms, and maybe you can bend the elbows and just hug the hands in towards the head. Let the shoulders start to relax. If you prefer, you can always have the arms down by your shins. So find your version of child that really works for you. You could even have a brick underneath your head. And breathe into the back of the body. Let's have 2 more breaths in child. And then when you're ready, just come onto your back. Bring the knees in towards the chest. Keeping the knees and the feet together, take your left hand onto your right knee, the outside of your right knee. Release your right arm to the floor and just take it into a twist, knees to the left. Gaze to the right. And that top hand can just anchor your knees, anchor your thighs. Breathe into the twist. Have 2 more breaths here. When you're ready, begin to transition to the other side. So roll onto your back, adjust if you need to, hugging the knees in, opposite hand to opposite knee. Let the left arm drop to the side, gaze to the left, knees to the right. And try to tune into if there's some tension here. So maybe your neck is a little bit tight, it doesn't want to turn to the left, then just let it be where it's the most comfortable. So maybe nose to the ceiling. And breathe into the twist, but stay comfortable. Have another 2 breaths. And then coming back onto your back, you can come into Shavasana, or I would invite you to do Vipariti Karani. So legs onto the bed, chair or wall, wherever suits you best. To have the legs up the wall, let the arms drop to the sides. In this dark winter weather, especially when it's so wet, then bringing energy to the body with these heart-opening practices, back bends, and this, the great rejuvenator, Vipariti Karani. These are great tools to build resilience and lift the spirits. at a dark time of year. Let the spine settle into the floor. Release any tension that's hanging on in the legs, in the jaw, in the neck. And in that space between your shoulder blades, which we've warmed up today, letting the body be still and the breath soft. And you can stay there if you have more time. Or you can start to bring the knees in, roll to the side. And bring your hands together in front of your heart. Bringing you light on a dark day with love and gratitude. Namaste.